Hello, hello, hello. Let me tell you, most people don't fail at budgeting because they're irresponsible. They fail at budgeting because they're budgeting for a lifestyle that they don't actually live. And if your budget looks good on paper, but never in real life, then this conversation is for you. Are you ready to get into it? Let's go.
Here we go! Nicole Johnson, Nicole Johnson, Nicole Johnson. Let's go!
And welcome back to Budgeting for Your Lifestyle. We have had to take a break, but listen, it's for a good reason. At the beginning of the year, the third week of January, we did the Vision and Empowerment Retreat. And when I tell you these ladies came and took over Dallas and had an absolute amazing time, if you are here in the comments, be sure to say hello. Tell me where you're tuning in from. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad that you are. And the budgeting, the actual in-person Vision and Empowerment Retreat. Thank you guys for coming out, showing up, and showing out. It was an absolute amazing time. And guess what? We are already planning for 2027. So listen, your budget on paper is not necessarily matching your budget in real life. And that is why most budgets fail. I am the Nicole Johnson, and tonight I'm going to be talking about something that frustrates high functioning, intelligent women more than what they want to admit. They make good money, they're paying their bills and on time, they're trying to follow a budget, and yet somehow it does not work. They redo it. They tweak a few things. They make a few changes. They download a template. They watch another video. What's going on in the chat? You all are over there. Hello, hello, tuning in from Georgia, all parts of Dallas and Texas. I'm so glad you guys are here. Listen, the cycle then begins to repeat itself. Listen, can I tell you something? That's not going to work. It's never going to work that way because that's not how budgeting works. Tonight, I'm not going to talk to you about cutting expenses because you know your girl will tell you 100 ways to Sunday how to cut some expenses, right? Tonight is about getting in alignment with your money, getting in alignment with how a budget should look, because the real issue is most budgets are built on what we think or what we want our life to look like, not the reality. Good evening from Louisiana. Our budget doesn't reflect the lifestyle that we're actually living because we don't like it, right? You write that budget out. I'm going to cook every meal. I won't be tired. I'm going to get it done. I'm not going to be stressed. I won't be traveling unexpectedly. There won't be a life happening incident. Child, please. Don't you know that is never land. That is in a perfect world, which we do not live in. Okay, that is not what we're living in. So when we start looking at, you're gonna end up working late at least once or twice a week, right? There might be a third night in that same week. You just don't feel like it. I don't feel like cooking. So I'm going to stop by such and such and pick up something on the way home. Or better yet, I'm going to DoorDash it so that it meets me there, if not beats me there. If I'm talking to you, go ahead. If this is a safe space, talk about it in the comments. Sometimes that is our life. Okay. And then we have these jobs that are high demanding. And sometimes that 9 to 5, that 8 hour day turns into 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours. This is why your budget has to be flexible, because your life is always twisting and turning. And if your budget is rigid and stuck, it'll fail you every time. Okay. Your budget has to have some flexibility because life is not just one straight path. And the mistake that most people make is building a restrictive budget instead of building a budget that allows for the things that you want. Okay. You have to build in the things that you want, because when you restrict too much, eventually, honey, just like me, I'm gonna be like, Psh, I'm throwing that thing out the door. We're not doing that. Okay. So when you have flexibility within your budget, then you create room for success, for improvement. And when you start making improvements and you see little steps being successful, that's when you start to actually stick to it. So let me ask you a question. How many of you actually know that your budget does not reflect the lifestyle that you live? Go ahead, just say me in the comments. Listen, I won't hold it against you. I am here to teach and help. You know that your budget does not reflect the lifestyle that you live. Go ahead and say me. It's okay. It is okay. All right. And I get it. So let me tell you what has to happen. Are you guys ready for the what has to happen? Okay. If you were at my retreat, you should have had one of these that says I need to have clarity and confidence so I can get control. Okay. I need clarity, I need confidence so that I can get control. But how do you get there? This is where you have to shift. And the shift that's required is about actually identifying what do I want that's a non-negotiable. Okay. Are you budgeting from a survival mindset or from a stability mindset? Those two things are different. Let me ask you this way. Are you budgeting out of fear because you think you have to have a budget to get on the right track? Or are you budgeting because you now have strategy? I'll wait. Hold on. I'm gonna sip some tea on that one. Is my tea lady in the comments? I can't see. I don't have my glasses on. Is my tea lady out here in the comments? For those of you who know my tea lady, just tell I asked about her, okay? But I want you to start budgeting out of strategy. If you are sometimes thinking that I really can't afford the life that I'm living, you'll always under budget what your reality is. Okay. If you set aside X amount of dollars for a certain category, but you know that you shouldn't be setting aside that much money, you'll either overspend or you will mismanage. You will overspend or you will mismanage. And neither of those concepts are healthy for you. I hope this is really making you think. Tonight is designed to make you think about how you handle your money, because the shift that is needed is this. I want you to think that the money that I have is enough. It's enough. Okay, I want you to say that. Can you type that in the chat for me? The money I have is enough. There may be some things that I need to really redesign and determine that I don't need as much. I don't need it as often. And if I do, let me restructure how I set aside money to get it. Okay, let me restructure how I set aside money to get it. Because here's the reality: if you don't know how to handle the money that you're currently making, making more is not going to be the answer. Do I need to say that again for the person in the back? If you don't know how to handle the money that you currently have, making more is not the solution. It's a mindset thing. It will continue to, the more you make, the more you'll spend, because you already don't have a correct thought process into budgeting. So now it's getting into the shift, and to in order to budget for the lifestyle that you require, okay, or that you need to, the way you need to function in your money, you got to get clarity about how you're living. Oh, yeah, put your toes away. It's okay. It's okay. Put your toes away. I'm gonna be nice tonight. It's our first time back in a while, and we need to get readjusted. Let's see how I shift in that chair. I just shift. I shift. You need to get clarity about the lifestyle that you're living. All right. Be honest about what you need. That is something that we talk about a lot. Do I need all of this stuff? Do I need to buy all of this? Do I need to have all of this? And sometimes, and most times, the answer is no, we don't. And the next thing I'll say you need is the courage to stop pretending that you do. A lot of people talk about keeping up with the Joneses. I never met the Joneses that I want to keep up with. Okay. And I'll tell anybody I'd rather be like the Jeffersons before they went to the sky, to the apartment in the sky. George already owned seven shops. He had already had seven cleaners before they moved up there. So he started small. You needs versus wants, yes, ma'am. He started small. He moved up when it was in a better position in his financial life that he could afford it. So we got to stop faking the funk. If your lifestyle calls for this much, and you keep trying to have this much, you're hurting yourself. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, because at the address where you live, nobody's responsible for it but you. So, how you think, how you feel, how you manage it is all that matters. Okay? So, stop trying to impress people. It's not worth it. Okay? And so, before we start looking at increase, I want us to get into alignment with what we already have. Do well with what we have before we start looking to get more. And so, in order to go from the budgeting for the life you're actually living to budgeting to the life you are to where you've increased, we've got to make a shift. Okay, we've got to make a shift, and that's something that I call the prosperity shift. And so I want to share with you where I am. I came into 2026. I usually have a theme. I tell my community, let's have a process for what we're doing. Let's have a word. What's our theme that we're following for this year? And for years, mine has been manifestation. But in 2026, it's increase. All right. Increase in my health, increase in my income, increase in my business, increase in my elevation. Okay. But increase in my wisdom. And all the things that I prayed and asked for to expand my territory, I asked that I also have an increase in wisdom in what to do and how to manage that territory. Because the increase also comes with increased responsibilities, and it takes a shift. Okay. Increase also requires infrastructure. I've got to have a good strategy. I've got to have a good foundation. I've got to have a good knowledge of where I am and where I want to be, and make sure that I'm properly and correctly bridging the gap from A to B. Okay. So when I say I want increase in my health, but I don't budget for the right groceries or the fitness, or I don't get the proper rest, guess what? I'm talking about it. I'm not being about it. I'm not in alignment with what I say I want, because my actions don't support my words. And more than likely, what's going to happen is that the actions are going to have a better result or more consistent result than the words that I say. You're picking up what I'm putting down. That if your actions don't match your words, your results won't be the thing that you want. It will be the thing that you get as a result of your actions. Okay? If I say I want to elevate and I want to actually have more free time, but I keep piling things on my calendar, guess what? My actions are not in alignment with my words, my wants, or the things that I need. And all I'm doing is hurting myself. So, in order to get a stable structure, infrastructure, foundation, and strategy, does my friend, I've got to start looking at and talking to me. You got to start talking to you. Those be some of the best conversations, okay? I need you to understand that. When I need to have some expert conversation, me sit down and we get into it. And I have to assess, does my financial systems, do my systems support the things that I want? Are my systems going to take me in the direction in which I want to go? And does the circle that I run in help me stay accountable? Okay. Accountability is so important, so extremely important. Okay. How am I supporting the woman I'm becoming? I want you to think about that. Maybe type your answers in the chat. If you're catching this on the replay, tell me how. I'd love to come back and hear hear your thoughts about this. How am I supporting me in the woman that I'm becoming? What am I eliminating? Who am I eliminating? What am I bringing in that's going to actually help me reach my goal? Who am I allowing in that's going to actually help me reach my goal? I don't want to just focus on the woman that I've been. And I look at the woman that I am, but I'm focused on the woman that I'm becoming. Okay? Because I want you to understand that in this conversation, I've got to keep it real with me. And prosperity is certainly not about restricting things, it's about being prepared, it's about readiness. And preparedness and readiness means that there's some things that you got to let go. There's some things that you got to move around. There's some things you have to put away. There's some things you got to walk away from. There's some things that you need to declutter. Whoo, child. Who am I talking to? Come on now. Who am I talking to? I hope that this has been helpful. Come on, putting me first. Come on with that's my tea lady. Hold on, let me take a sip. Putting me first. But what that means when it comes to my budget is that when I look at the things that are on that budget, whether I have them in a spreadsheet, a notebook, an app, wherever it is, I have to take a look at myself and look at what I've written down and say, is this reality? Let me put my glasses on so I can see what you all are saying in the comments. Yes, yes. Somebody said China Styles' new song, Me. And listen, China Styles was on my podcast, and I had a chance to really talk to her about her story, and it is heartfelt, loving, and warm. And so when she comes out with these songs, baby, listen, listen, lenders. the, the messaging is in alignment. When we were at the retreat, the 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 energy in the room was alignment. The conversations that were being held was alignment. Now that you all are back home and you're looking at your money and you're looking at your budget, is it in alignment with the life you want to live? Okay? So your budget needs to reflect where you are. So that if your budget for eating out is $200 a month, do you really need to spend that much? could you could you dial it back a little bit and then take the difference of what you thought and then what you changed to and put that money over in savings where it really needs to build? Could you put that money to a debt that you need to eliminate sooner than later? And then once that debt is eliminated, you can go back to an increase in the dining out budget. Everything doesn't have to be restrictive, it needs to be timely. I hope that is making sense for you. Okay? Because what I want you to take away for tonight, if your budget continues to fail, if it keeps failing, give up the spreadsheet, let it go. It's not because it's not the spreadsheet, it's the structure. Let me say that again. It's not the spreadsheet, it's the structure. And I want you to ask yourself, am I budgeting for the life I wish I was living? Or am I budgeting for the life that I'm actually living? Because that perspective and that view can be very different. Ask yourself this as well. Does the financial systems that I have in place support my current responsibilities and my future growth? Clock it. We've got to get in alignment with what we want. But in order to get to what we want, we have to recognize where we are. Okay? We have to recognize what we are. And once we get in alignment, we create sustainability, and sustainability is the doorway to increase. hmm I talk these talks and have these conversations with you because I love you and I care about what your future is. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more about the shift that I know I've had to take. And I'm going to be chronologically, going to be documenting. That's a better word for me. Going to be doing kind of my own documentary of the shift that's necessary and the results that I'm getting. And I want you to go on this journey with me, okay? Anybody coming on this journey with me? If you are, say me in the comment. Say me in the comments, okay? Because as alignment gets to sustainability, and sustainability gets to increase, that increase will change the way you budget because now your lifestyle is different and you're actually being able to budget for the lifestyle you actually want. If this conversation has resonated with you, I want you to share it. Send it to a friend who's frustrated with their finances. Be sure to be subscribed to at the Nicole Johnson TV and turn on your notifications so you know when we go live. We'll be here every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. But I have a new series that'll be coming out and that I want you guys to make sure that you're tuning in to because growth is for all of us. Growth is for all of us. Okay. And I want us to all have that experience because we don't have to do this alone. We do not have to go on this journey alone. So make sure you're staying tuned in. Make sure that you are catching the replay. I'm going to give you an assignment. Nicole, you didn't tell me it's going to be an assignment tonight. I know I didn't tell you all of that, but I'm telling you now. I want you to make sure that once a week you set a money date. Once a week, the same time every week, you take at least an hour to look over your finances to make sure things are in alignment. If they're not, work slowly to trim things down to get in alignment. How do I do that, Nicole? Listen, the best thing I can tell you to do is stay tuned in and you're going to get enough information to start creating that structure so that your strategy is in place so that you can start getting an alignment so that you can get the sustainability so that you experience the increase. I thank you guys so much for being here with me on budgeting for your lifestyle. I am the Nicole Johnson and I'll see you next time.
Nicole Johnson, Nicole Johnson.